It's absurd, complained Godred in the shed one day. The manager thinks that just because I look away from the line for a few seconds, that makes me a bad lookout. Though the Caldy Railway was still relatively new, Godred's reckless behavior was anything but. Ever since he arrived, he had never once kept a good lookout, and every time for one of the four mountain engines, or even the manager gave him a warning, he would always complain about it long into the day and night. A little look at the scenery won't do any harm, Godred continued. It doesn't. It clearly doesn't if I never had an accident. Not yet, you mean, replied Ernest plainly. Rubbish! All I need is a good break, that's all. You will never see me get into trouble like that. The others groaned as Godred continued to boast. This is the third time this week he's been going off about this, Goldie muttered. Doesn't he ever get tired of it? Asked Winifred. I know I am. I just wish he'd be quiet for one day at least, said Shane Dooney bluntly. The next day, Godred was coming down from the summit. As usual, he was paying attention to everything but the track. Bad lookout indeed. Bad lookout indeed. I haven't had an accident since I arrived. I won't today. I'm perfectly set. Oh goodness. He's hurt. I'll get help. Godred? Godred? Came a voice. Godred could faintly recognize the voice as his driver's. Godred! Are you all right? Godred tried to open his eyes, but to his horror, he found that he couldn't. He tried to speak, but he couldn't do that either. What's happening? He thought frantically, trying to make sense of the situation. No response, sir, said his driver. At least the passengers and you two are fine, came another voice. I shudder to imagine what would have happened had the guard not stepped in. That's the manager, thought Godred. I hope he won't be too cross. Yes, thank heavens for that, said the driver. But what do we do about Godred? There was a long silence. Manager's sure to fix me up, thought Godred. I'm his number one engine after all. Then the manager spoke up. Godred felt shattered. He didn't know what to think. He wanted to beg and plead with the manager for a second chance, but no matter how he tried, he couldn't speak. Sir, please, don't leave me in the back of the shed. I'm really sorry. I really am. I promise I'll keep a good lookout from now on. Please fix me, sir. Please. But as Godred continued to scream, all the manager heard was silence. The other engines stayed mournfully quiet for some time. Godred tried everything he could think of to talk to them. Please, he thought. I need to tell everyone how sorry I am. Just one time, please. But Godred's lips remained sealed. Months passed. Godred continued to stay in the back of the shed. Then one day, he heard two unfamiliar voices coming toward him. "His rods don't look so bad," said one. "They're not perfect, but they should work fine until a fresh set comes in," added another. Godred began to get excited. "They've come to mend me," he thought. "Oh, happy days, happy day—" He stopped. He felt his rods as if they were coming loose. Then Godred found that he could no longer feel his rods at all. "Better give these to Wilfred," said the first voice. "He'll be glad to be back in service soon." Godred was horrified. "You can't do that! Those are my parts! Come back here this instant! You can't treat me like scrap iron! Give them back! Give them back!" But the two men heard nothing. Unfortunately, this sort of activity only continued. Over the better part of the year, men kept taking Godred's parts to fix up other engines. Godred tried to speak, but with every part that was taken off, he grew smaller and smaller, and his mind grew quieter and quieter. Eventually, all that was left of Godred was a dented smokebox. He could hardly muster the energy to think of anything. "Please, please help me." His voice now barely resembled in the deep booming one he used to have. Just then, Godred heard two men approaching him. "Let's make this quick," one said. "The scrap dealers ain't gonna wait any longer." "Och, just let it get over with," said the other. "That face really gives me the willies." Godred could sense what was about to happen. He tried one final time to call out for help and beg for mercy, but as the men began cutting him apart, and the pain felt every perceive of his being, Godred could not say a word. Then the pain stopped. Godred's voice went out, and nothing was left.